So yesterday we looked into other skillful ways to deal with these restless mind. Here, in this way, is that we have to bring in the calmness and also the mindfulness together. The principle is to bring these two together in, and also to therefore to deal with this restless mind. So, in the way of Vipassana is that you directly see the true nature of what is going on. Seeing the states of mind as it pass through, one after another. Don't go into the story, learn to accept them. Don't suppress don't suppress the thoughts. Also the way of conditioning. The way of conditioning here, it's noticing the restless mind as a subject and what causes the restless mind to arise. Not by thinking. You don't ask what causes, you actually see the causes. Actually, you notice the causes of how this thing arises, this arise. And also, sometimes you may notice that how the restless mind is there, it gives rise or it gives the effect of other like bodily movements, fidgeting, or tension of the body may arise due to the nature of this restlessness. And sometimes you notice that the restless mind drops, that fidgeting also stops. So when you notice at it, you will see the conditioning aspect. You see one causing the other. So in the larger scale, if the mind has the perception to notice all these things as it occur, then you see cause effect. It is also a valid way of vipassana because noticing this how it cause and effect from one after another, then the way it falls under the fourth satipatthana, falls under Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. How when you begin to see conditioning aspect taking place. Whereas in the earlier part, I mentioned that you only directly pay attention to the state of mind, to that restless mind. You don't worry about the body. You don't worry about how it arises. You only catch hold of it and you see the changes of this restless mind, how it changes, what is going on in there. As you watch them until they sort of like gone, disappear. And that way it falls under the Chittanupassana, the third type of the four foundation of mindfulness. So there's a slightly different here, how we pay attention to these objects. Some people have the ability to see the conditioning better. Some people have the way of noticing the chitta better. So it doesn't matter which one. It will come to you sooner or later, one way or the other. You will see all of them one way or another, It's either which one is more. Then also there are other ways, like to prevent the restlessness from arising, various ways of samatha meditation. If you can able to pick up some like metta meditation or in-breath, out-breath meditation, this meditation give rise to a certain degree of calmness and mindfulness. With that, although you are not directly dealing with the restless mind, but you build those things first. You kind of build it up for a while, and Then later part we switch it over to Vipassana. Then the Vipassana, in a way, it doesn't have to deal with so much of the restless mind because of the nature of you're bringing the mindfulness and the concentration over from samatha into Vipassana. Uh, Technically, say it's easy, but practically it's not as easy as it seems. Normally, the mind doesn't want to change. It stays in one way of meditation. You ask the yogi to change to the other way, very difficult. Just like a lot of you, you stuck with this rising and in breath, out breath. Come back to here. No, the mind want to go back here. It's the same thing. If you do a lot of metta, if you do a lot of metta, then if you ask the yogi to switch over to rising and falling or vipassana, a lot of times they don't want. They want to go back to the metta because it's nice and easy. You come to vipassana, here pain, there pain, everywhere pain. So they don't like it. But if they understand the teachings of the Buddha, then they make an effort truly to change over into the vipassana. And in other times, you can always go back to the metta, or you go back to the anapana again. So whenever time comes again, you go back to this one until you're quite skillful in changing of all these objects, in changing of these objects of meditation, whether it's samatha or vipassana. If you can do that, then it's wonderful. So what other ways? Now, other ways is like, for example, to prevent or to reduce that restless mind of ours. Here is to change our lifestyle out there. To learn to slow down a little bit and learn to take pauses in between whatever that we are doing. If we are taking a break, for example, in the office, then make sure that not only just the body break, but mentally also break. That is to say, let the mind come back to the present moment. You do not see the result yet, I honestly tell you. But if you try, you know that, to put it this way, mindfulness is a wholesome mental state. You cultivate it a little bit, it gives you. You cultivate it again and again as it accumulates, then you will see its effect better, clearer in the long run. But it has to start somewhere. And also you need also actually finally all these things you need good friends, spiritual friendship. If you were to mix with those people who go hoo-ha, 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 what do you become? It's exactly that you're going to end up like that. If you mix with the Buddha says you mix with the teeth, all the thieves, and then you're going to be like that. You're going to mix with the robbers, you're going to be robbers. You're going to mix with the monks or nuns, perhaps maybe also. Or perhaps nearer to the Dhamma. Nearer to the Dhamma. So, if you mix with those people who are spiritual friends that they, you go for like dana offerings, you keep your precepts, you may have a discussion on the Dhamma. In that way, if you have that group of people, then it will be good because in a way that it tunes your mind towards these things in everyday life, then it helps you. It helps you to break away from your working. Then it mixes with the right group of people. Then it helps you to relax in a way. With that also, with the right people that you choose, also you also have a lot of information about, for example, when is the next retreat, or where is the retreat, or who is the teacher, and how is the teacher is teaching, and so on. So There are those people who has gone through the retreat, then they know these things. This is where you get the information. Mm? Yeah. Some of us maybe sometimes blindly come, Whether you know the teacher or you don't know the teacher, then again you just thought that every monk that is wearing the robes and bald-headed must be the right one. And not really. I've been into the world. I hear things not all the time like that. I also choose to where to go to. Yeah. In fact, that also I choose to which group of devotees also I mix with also. Because if you mix with one type of devotees, you're going to be something like them also, the monks. Yeah, not that only the monks influence them, but they will influence the monk also. Yeah, in a way. And I've seen devotees, over time they influence the monk, and then sometimes the monks start off with meditation a lot. Mixing with these devotees, they like to do a lot of missionary work, the service work, and then somehow or another, that monk also, or that group of monk also, they slowly over time kind of like to please the devotees and so on. Then in a way they begin to become like that too. Not to say that it's bad, it's still something wholesome, yeah. But you see that the monk's mind, even the sangha mind also can change. Yeah, yeah. What more about all of you? Yeah. So you must be wise enough to look out for people, to mix with the right people. Here in US, maybe a bit difficult. Even in staying in Houston, from one end to Houston to another end, it's like taking you 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Yeah. So we have to find ways. Like in Malaysia, like especially like where I'm staying, they have a lot of monks, different places, different traditions, and a lot of Buddhist devotees also. Especially because that area is more Chinese, and there's a lot of devotees. And again here, Vipassana devotees, Vipassana meditators, is always the smallest lot. Compared to all the devotees who do all missionary work, samatha meditation, service, dana, that one is a lot. And then the monks who needs anything they would like to offer, but you ask them, hey, come retreat 1 week. I got 2 weeks, I discount to them 1 week. No. A lot of them are like that too. It's not easy because understanding of this vipassana is not that easy. But if there are people also, there are devotees also, over time they mix with us. They mix with this type of group of people. Sometimes it takes some years, take a few years for them to kind of like gather up their confidence to really to go into the retreat. Yeah? You gather up their confidence. But anyway, the thing is that they mix with the right people. If you don't mix with the right people, you don't get that type of information or that type of training. So you must be wise enough to choose. So that is one thing. Yeah? So in other things, like for example, as I said, you have to slow down. You have, especially when you're here, you have to learn to slow down. Slow down, relax, go from one place to another place slowly, mindfully. Don't let the mind, eyes, hearing go into keep going out. Then you have to pull it back to the body again and again. With that, actually over time you can see that the mind actually settle down. Maybe for some of you, it takes you maybe 5 days to 7 days in order just to settle the mind down. And then another 2 or 3 more days, okay, bye bye. That is what happened in a lot of times in the retreat. That's why a slightly longer a retreat is always better. But for beginners, it's like they feel like, oh, it's so difficult. 2 more days, I'm free from the prison. Actually, you're going back to the prison. But your delusion says that you're going out to freedom, yeah. Anyway, so we learn to slow down. Over here, and as I yesterday also I mentioned, you observe the noble silence over here. Even your desire one need to talk to some people unless it's really necessary. In all retreats that next time that you go, you have to have that quality of keeping it silent. Keeping it silent and make the effort to keep walking, sitting, if you are doing this type of retreat. Other retreats, sometimes they do not have a schedule for you. You do it yourself. Yeah. You want to walk, you walk. You want to sit, you sit. You want to do this practice, also okay. You want to do that practice, also okay. The monk can do everything. Sometimes, But I find that way, yogis tend to really are not really doing it. I've been to this type of retreats before. Yeah. Without understanding of this way of meditation, they find that a lot of people, they find that it's so so restricted, your freedom. You cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot talk, you cannot read. Your whole day is just walks in. What is there? For a lot of people, they kind of without understanding, they criticize the way of this way. They say, what for? You have to go in, you have to be free. You have to be as free as the bird. That's where the delusion is talking. Sounds nice, but the delusion is there. Usually with this type of things, because I've gone through practice, I don't succumb to this type of talks. Although it sounds pleasant, it sounds nice, it sounds good, it sounds so eye-opening, but it says it's full of delusion inside there. Anyway, this is my way of looking at things. And so with that, it helps us to reduce a lot of our restless mind. Now, as I said, we want to look into how this progress of this meditation take place. Finally, the end of this practice is to eradicate your greed, hatred, delusion. And this greed, hatred, delusion is the one that gives rise to all this birth and rebirth. Now, some of you may not like the idea of birth and rebirth. Because why? You cannot see it. Even we tell you there are defilements in the mind, sometimes devotees also cannot really accept it also. They can accept a one or two, but they cannot accept the deeper aspect of it. Even this one, Nibbana or Nirvana, then again is all far-fetched. Again here, you see, the teachings of the Buddha when he taught the Dhamma is not for next life. It's actually everything you can be done within this life. But whether we have the faith towards it or not, that's another thing. Are we able to subscribe fully to the teachings of the Buddha? Cannot. We can subscribe only the partial of the teachings of the Buddha. Perhaps like maybe you want to do offerings, you want to do service work, you want to do dana. You subscribe to those things. You want to be kind to people, to animals, to beings. You can take that. You're fully able to do that. The Buddha talked about the precept, the 5 precepts, the 8 precepts. You can actually able to subscribe in for some of you. But then for some of you also, the precept also is you can take partially but not the other one. That also they have, yeah. Like for example, drinking or the other one is lying. Other things they can, yes, non-killing, I can fully subscribe. But lying, I'm doing business. It's very hard for me to keep myself straight, you know. So you see, you can only take partially of it. And when the deeper aspect of the teachings of the Buddha, so do the same thing. The Nibbana thing, the Nirvana thing, you don't want to accept it. Birth and rebirth thing, you cannot see it because you cannot see it, you don't want to accept it. So the mind is like full of barrier, and that barrier comes in for a number of things. Lack of understanding, even theoretical understanding, lack of faith. I mean, the other one, of course, the mother of all defilements, delusion, and it keep you there. You see, in the Dhamma, when we practice this Dhamma, when we try out the teachings of the Buddha here and there, now over time, even with some of the things that we have done, for example, we do dana offerings, or if you do like sometimes they have offering this type of robes to the monks, you know. Sometimes they're offering food like what you do in this one to the monks, you know. And you do kindness and all these things. When you do this, sometimes within like not too long, within a lifetime or within a few years, you can see the result. That is to say, you feel more happy. You feel that your greed, your attachment, less. You feel you find that the teachings of the Buddha that you're able to follow, then it actually manifests within this life that it gives rise to happiness. But you still cannot subscribe to the birth and rebirth thing yet. But nevertheless, you begin to read. You begin to understand theoretically. You listen to talks. You read the books. You read the Dharma books. And also you have done some degree of practice. And with that, sometimes over time, again, you begin to understand the different aspect of the Dhamma. You begin to progress in the meditation here and there. Now, when these things you begin to see it for yourself, what will be good is that those teachings of the Buddha that you still cannot understand, you still cannot subscribe, this time it will be wise for you to begin to open up your mind to able to see what actually the Buddha able to share to us or given to us, the teaching itself. Because you practice a number of things and you can actually feel it. You can actually notice that it gives rise to a result in this very life itself. So there are deeper teachings of the Buddha that this time, if you able to open up your mind further, then actually it's possible for us to able to achieve those things too, and to see its benefit also. Because even we don't take everything, but we have taken partially of it, it's already within the result is there. So there are some truth in it. So therefore it would be good that the teachings of the Buddha you open up further, that all this possibility is possible. Yeah. It's not something that only can be achieved by monks or nuns. Yeah. I've seen lay people who progress in this vipassana for very far, even enlightenment level. Not just only monks and nuns. Even there are sometimes, as yesterday I mentioned, that some nuns or monks, when they come, they have a hard time to practice because full of thinking, full of thoughts. So, the whole purpose of this, finally, this vipassana, is to actually to realize Nibbana. Nibbana is one thing. Synonymously, Nibbana is eradication of all defilements. We are saying eradication, not abandoning. Abandon, usually in the text, is that abandon for a temporary period of time. Like, for example, when you are mindful what is going on, thoughts not coming, that means the thoughts are kind of like prevented and abandoned for a period of time. But after that, they will come up again. Eradication is different. Eradication, that means eradicate the roots itself, that is not going to come anymore in this life and also in future or in future lives. So with that, because of that defilements are totally eradicated, then the birth and rebirth does not have the fuel anymore to take rebirth. Yeah. All these things, whether birth and rebirth, whether you understand it or not, finally the truth is within this mind and body. Even your understanding of birth and rebirth is within this mind and body. Then you ask, how? Practice. Go and practice. Finally, you will realize. Yeah? Finally, you will realize that birth and rebirth, everything, you don't have to talk about future life. Within this life, this moment itself, if you're sharp enough, deep enough, you can actually understand the whole thing. So it's finally is towards that. Now, understanding this goal, this objective, which is also the third noble truth. When we understand the Four Noble Truths. So this is the third noble truth. And this one, the Buddha actually gives us the goal. The goal and how you achieve that goal. Noble Eightfold Path. And Noble Eightfold Path over here is that this is what you are doing right now. You cultivating the right view. The right view here is your thoroughness of noticing. Not your thinking mind, not your right understanding. It's the thoroughness of noticing of what truly is going on there. You develop the right concentration, that the mind is not distracted to all kinds of everything. It stays with the vipassana objects. You cultivate the right mindfulness because the mind is in the present moment, clearly in the present moment, together with the right objects that you are taking up. You're making the right effort because you're making that mindfulness to come. You're taking up the right right morality, right speech, right action. Because of we don't talk unnecessary. We don't kill, we don't steal over here. Yeah. In a way, we prevent all these things. And not only that, we cultivate, we do the walking, sitting, with the discipline. All these things, all this falls under the Noble Eightfold Path here. Just by you walking, sitting, keeping quiet, don't do anything else, and just walk, sit. The whole Noble Eightfold Path is already here. And yet, we still do not know what we are doing. So, it's deep. So finally, this path itself, it will bring you, it will develop until one realizes Nibbana. In the Satipatthana, in the four foundations of mindfulness that you can see in the sutta, here the four foundations of mindfulness, basically, if you look at them, they only have three major components. And that three major components is the Holy Trinity in Buddhism. You know what's Holy Trinity? For those who are not in Christianity, it doesn't matter. In Satipatthana, you must have the right state of mind. The right state of mind, that means your mind has to be sharp, clear, mindful, energetic. That means that the mind that you use to pay attention to the object of your meditation, that you cultivate over the days, that you find that the mind is sharp, is focused, is able to penetrate, scrutinize everything what is truly going on inside there. Not the thinking part, but truly scrutinize those things. That state of mind you need. That is one thing. You have to fulfill this criteria, this one. The second criteria here is that you must have the right objects of Vipassana meditation or Satipatthana. You take up the wrong object, even you have the right state of mind, you're not going to develop. That is to say, the four objects of four foundations of mindfulness: the body, the feelings, the mind, and the Dhamma here. The Dhamma here has a number of things, number of objects. Everything here in the Dhamma, it looks at conditioning. Yeah. We're not going to go through all these four. So you must have the right object, not the conceptual object, not the objects created by the mind. Those objects are not for development of Satipatthana or this Vipassana. So you must have the right mind, you must have the right object. Then you must have the right goal. The right objective, the right goal. And that also is really important. A lot of times, yogis sometimes if I notice, sometimes people come to this retreat, this type of Vipassana retreat. They can do it walking, sitting, meditate well, but they cannot able to accept the third one, the right goal. Because the right goal here is the third noble truth, is the Nibbana itself, is the eradication of everything, is the stopping of cycle of birth and rebirth. If this component, this third component is not fulfilled, your Vipassana, sooner or later, you're going to give up on this Vipassana. Because the challenges in this Vipassana, as you progress in this Vipassana, it's not going to be easy. You think you're pain here and there. Oh, so painful, so painful. That is still in the top of the iceberg. Top of the iceberg. There are other challenges that they're going to go deeper into the practice. It may not be pain here and there, but it comes as truly dukkha or unsatisfactoriness. Uh, now, just take for example, you move your finger like that. As long as you don't have gout now. If you gout, very painful. Let's say you can able to move a finger like this. Can you see the dukkha here? Just by moving the finger like that. Can you understand even that moving of that finger, that Four Noble Truth is already here? And it can be experienced if your mind is sharp enough. But the thing is that for us, it's impossible. Yeah. We're not able to see what is going on, even with that movement of a finger. So, so here, finally, the development of this practice will finally reach that Nibbana. In between, as I said, it is difficult. There will be challenges. You think you can able to overcome your thoughts and it's not going to come again. Wait for the next retreat now. You're just waiting for you. Sometimes not only this, but there are other mental challenges, physical challenges that is going to come in. So even sometimes they find it is so difficult just to sit for that 1 hour, even they have done a number of retreats. Sometimes. So the dukkha aspect can be very difficult. And not only dukkha aspect, but sometimes the non-self aspect, when it arises, it will scare you. You think that, oh, I understand non-self, I understand non-self. But when really right in front of you, you totally have fear about how come the whole practice is totally like in this way. You can never think about it. You can never speculate how it's going to come. But when it comes, some yogis have totally thought that they are going nowhere, they are going haywire, and so on. And yet they're actually progressing. It's so messed. Sometimes you go inside there, it feels like it's so messed up. Until you must have faith in the teachings of the Buddha. You must have faith to really go through. If not, when you see this difficulty without understanding the goal has not been achieved, you're going to give up in this Vipassana. Halfway, when the challenges come, you are not ready for it. Goodbye, Bhante. This is the last time I see you. I've seen monks, I've seen nuns, I've seen yogis. They give up on this practice because it's so difficult to pass through. It doesn't have to be this style of practice. Anything, if we want to really do Vipassana, it will finally comes into seeing all this difficulty. Yeah. If you think that development of this Vipassana is all about sit there, after that all the pain gone, everything will be calm and smooth and pleasant and nice. And then you sit there, Nibbana lia. This is not. Many people, many devotees I've met, they actually thought that they already have all this enlightenment. If it's not enlightenment, they thought that there must be in some kind of a pure land mentality and so on. But they are deluding themselves. They sit down, meditate, After some time, because of the mindfulness getting lost or not strong, everything fade. Then over time they sit and they sit, and after that everything just go calm and peaceful. Sometimes it's peaceful, sometimes calm and pleasant, and it's nice. For a lot of people, without understanding of the state of mind, you will grab it. That calmness, peacefulness. If you are doing Vipassana meditation, you will thought that one is Nibbana. If you are doing Samatha meditation, then you may think that, or you may deduct that this must be jhana. Whereas you are not in jhana, you are not in Vipassana. You are not in Nibbana and everything. In other words, the mind behind it is just crave and strongly attached to this calmness only. And some people with that one wrongly understand, wrongly believe that they already achieved enlightenment. And it can last for them 10 years, 20 years. 50. And they believe that they are there. And after that, one day they realize it. How come my anger is still so strong? How come my desire is still so much? How come my wrong view is still, in a way, is there? Then only they realize that I've been duped by myself for the past 20 years. You have 20 years, ah? You never know. So we do not know. So, but there are people like that every now and then, and it's quite common to just get attached to this state of mind. They interpret it themselves. That day I've mentioned that the monks sit there and the Buddha come. All it is imagination. Everything come. Arahant come to tell them that they are already Arahants with all these type of things. So it is not. Finally, the progress, everything when we come in, is within this mind and bodily process. That the further that you go into this process of this, whatever that is going to happen, this experience inside here, you have not seen it before. If you've seen it before, then you're not doing Vipassana. I mean, if you've seen it before, that means you could do the Vipassana quite easily. And all these things, because it's totally new. When I say it's totally new, that means in your past life, also you have not seen it also. If your past life, if you've done some practice in this Vipassana and you gain some progress in that Vipassana, right in this life itself, in this retreat itself, let's say you bring up that mindfulness to an optimum level, to a clear level, then it will continue from where you left off in that past life. Yeah. So too in this retreat, when you progress to a certain level, let's say, you go back the next day or the following day, your whole mindfulness is going to drop. It's not going to sustain. It's just like stamina, You don't run, all your stamina after that is gone. But you have the skills. The skill is that you know how to walk, how to sit, and so on. By the time you come back to the next retreat, you know exactly what to do. You must know exactly what to do to bring up that mindfulness again. And your mindfulness come up again. Then it continues from where you left off from this retreat. Yeah. So it's nothing lost. It's just that the mindfulness, when you go back, it's not going to be able to sustain. But the experience of the past you've gained, it will be yours. Yeah. So do not despair. So that's why the Buddha or the past disciples and you read about their progress, how come past life and then they continue this one and then after that they get enlightened. Yeah. So too, because of the nature of the practice itself, the nature of the progress itself. All you need to do, make sure you don't forget the skills of how you walk and sit and do all kinds of like daily activities and so on. If you forget it, if you're not doing it, then in the next retreat, if you take it so easy, then nothing is going to arise or nothing much is going to arise. It needs to have that intensiveness, dedication, keep on doing it hour after hour, and then only it picks up again. Mm. So, so I said it will not be lost, these experiences. Therefore, all you need to do is make sure that you come back to the body. Come back to the body here as you practice, noticing the rising and falling, the sensation. Everything here you can be noticed. As you notice, they will show you the different characteristics of the objects. Yeah. All these characteristics of the object, that the more you pay attention to them, they shows you in many different forms. Many different forms in the sense that, I mean, there's so many different ways I can describe. It's all experiences after all, you know. Sometimes when you go deeper into the practice, you know, sometimes like you notice this rising and falling. You see the shape of how it rises and how it falls. And or sometimes when you notice the pain, and well, while you're noticing the pain, you know exactly where is the pain. Oh, the pain is at the knee area. Was pulling, pressure, and so on. You'll come to a time, perhaps, you'll come to a time that you can notice still the pain very strong, very clearly. Your mind is not affected by it, but you can able to notice it. But you do not know where the pain arises. The pain is there, it's very strong pain, but you do not know where the pain arises. For if you don't think about it, you know. If you think about it, of course you will know. But if you don't think about it, that time, the location of where the pain is, it also gone. Because that location is also concept. Yeah, it's also concept. Even next time when you do the lifting, pushing, dropping, three phase, isn't it? Next time, if your mind is deep enough, clear enough, lifting, pushing, dropping is also concept. The phase is concept. The sensation are real. Until you come to a time that lifting, pushing, dropping is all just a flow of movements. It's a journey of flow of movements. Sensation wise, they are different, but you don't see a lifting, pushing, dropping anymore. Everything is just a flow. And it touched down. And you truly, every moment, from the moment it starts to move, starts to lift, everything can be noticed in so many different ways. But I cannot tell you in the beginning of the retreat, right? If I tell you, you're not going to be able to do it. So you got to start off with the phases first. Then slowly and slowly, the concept, even with that tiny concept also being removed, until you can fully see what is truly going on. You will come to a time that also in the deeper aspect of the practice, that everything that you notice, everything is just arising and passing away. When you read about this Vipassana practice, you'll come, I mean, I cannot able to explain on it so much. I could, not to say I cannot, I could do that, but you're going to take me a lot of time to explain. But in there are times I could do that because the retreat is 3 months. One wasa. So I got to slowly speak in order for me to able to survive from one day to another day. If not, all the subject gone. Don't know what else to speak. But I can go deep. I can describe it. But finally is to help you that when you go into the deeper aspect of practice, at least you know if that thing happened, at least you know you're still on the right track. Because that time, if the arising and passing away begins to notice very clearly, that when you use the word arising and passing away, it's about the moment it passed away. Less than a second. And it repeats itself again and again. This arising and passing away repeat itself again and again and again and again. Yeah. So they call it momentary. Moment to moment noting. That object appears in just arising and passing away. Now this arising and passing away, it's already happening right now. Here. Even when you're breathing right now. That time when you observe all these phenomena, they are, even the shape of rising and falling is not there. The shape of the body also is not there. Sometimes you also completely forget what time you're sitting also, whether it's a morning sitting, afternoon sitting or what. You completely also forget about the time. Because the time also is concept. The day, morning, afternoon, night also concept. So the time is that the mind is truly onto the object only, and only notice this arising and passing away moment after moment. It doesn't know which one, whether this is a mind or whether it is a body. Because the mind and the body actually shows you everything finally is just arising and passing away. Everything is just arising and passing away. Until you think about it, oh yes, this is the mind. Oh yes, this is the body. That thinking is already gone into concept. It's a tiny concept. So while you're actually noticing it, it's actually completely free from concept. Only phenomena happening at that moment of time. And everything is within this mind and bodily process, not something you create and so on. Until you come to a time that you go through this arising and passing away, and you're going to show you within this arising and passing away, moment after moment, this is where your real impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, or dukkha, and also anatta lies. Yeah. The true type of anicca, dukkha, anatta lies. And again, anicca, dukkha, anatta is a concept of thinking. Yeah. But it's because that you experience the object in a certain manner. You experience it in a certain manner. So with that certain manner, when you talk about it, when you think about it, we that certain experience, we call it okay, this is impermanent. And again, the arising and passing away comes in different ways, different forms. Then by thinking, we call it as dukkha. And you notice it in certain different ways again, not self and so on. Then later part, we think of it as anatta, non-self in a way. So everything is experiential. Anicca, dukkha, anatta also, it's concept, but it's direct concept. Direct means the moment you look at this one, it's already directly connected to the actual experience of what is going on. But in order for us to teach, then we speak about it. But when they're actually experiencing it, it's all only arising, passing away, and everything is going on that you've never seen these things before. But it's interesting. It's interesting. All these things arising and passing away is happening within this mind and body. Then you begin to realize also that if you project it out further into thoughts, like into Dhamma, not during the sitting, you will come to understand that throughout your samsara, from past life, immemorial past life, everything, as long as you exist, there's always this arising and passing away. And it will never stop. You know that anytime that your mind is clear, you pay attention to it, the arising and passing away is always there. You don't pay attention to it, you don't see it. But the moment that your mind is clear, it's already there. All the time it's there. Then when you look at it, it's quite scary. That means in the past life, also is always arising and passing away. As long as there's a mind and body, there's always arising and passing away. Into the future also, they're going to be always arising and passing away. No matter what beings you are reborn into, whether you're human, whether you are heavenly beings or hell beings or whatever, arising and passing away. That's why the samsara cannot stop. It's just only arising and passing away. All your aggregates, everything, 5 aggregates that you learn, finally comes into this arising and passing away. Yeah. So you cannot stop. Now how are you going to stop? Because the samsara, when it stops, it comes with that stopping of that arising and passing away. And that when it stops, and actually when it really is stopped, that is what we call Nibbana. Because it stops the cycle. It stops the whole cycle of birth and rebirth. In other words, it stops that arising and passing away. It stops that stream of arising and passing away. Without that Nibbana, without that cutting off of that defilements, without that cutting off of that defilements, the defilements is keep on producing the karma, it producing the effect, so that this arising and passing away keep going. Anytime we keep going this one, then it produce body, it produce mind. Because of that one, until one of these days, if you develop this Vipassana, until one of these days, when it comes to that's what your chant, path and fruition. There. We come to the path and fruition knowledge, where the path knowledge here, the path consciousness, it actually do the eradication itself. It eradicates. There are 4 different paths. 4 first stage of enlightenment, second stage, third stage, fourth stage of enlightenment. I know in the Mahayana again you have path of Buddhahood and all that thing. But anyway, whether you are in Buddhahood or what, the Buddha, before you reach the Buddha also you have to go through first, second, third and fourth also. So anyway, the thing is that these defilements, when it's eradicated, when the defilements are eradicated, fully eradicated, then this cycle of birth and rebirth stop. Because there's no, the karma itself cannot able to produce any more for the future rebirth. So it stopped here. Then that's why one realized Nibbana. So when it stopped, other words, there's no condition for it to give rise to rebirth anymore. Like the Buddha used the word, that the Buddha used the simile of a match, Is it? Yeah, I think so. When you light a fire with a match, if the fire can be lighted, that means the condition is all there. But if you minus one condition, let's say you minus the oxygen, then the fire cannot be started. So too, the same thing. The Buddha says, if you remove that greed, hatred, delusion, if you remove them, then they do not have the condition for them to take rebirth anymore in the future. So that's why we develop this Vipassana meditation, in order that when we develop it fully, finally the eradication take place, finally you are free from this birth and rebirth. If not, that's impossible. And the Buddha says that even for us to be a human being is such a rare chance. But somehow you want to be a human being, and when you want to practice the Dhamma, you are a rare commodity in all the beings, not only in samsara, but it's a rare community, a rare type of people. So here, this type of development, the teaching of the Satipatthana and this progress of this Vipassana, and all these things can be done within this single life. But whether you able to take everything in or not is up to you. Yeah, I know what the Buddha thought. Because we practice, we see the result, we see the practice, we see the result from the practice. So it's finally about for yourself to do it. Okay, so we stop here for tonight. All right, before we go, now tomorrow night, we will have a Q&A question. We have a Q&A session. What y'all can do with the Q&A is this. If you want to ask, by all means, you can have asked 2 or 3 questions. Then you have, let's say you go and look for some paper, whichever blank paper that you have. You write the question down, 2 or 3 questions if you want to. Then you put it in where? Later on the box there. Okay, we'll put a box somewhere beside the amplifier there. And oh yes, make sure you write clearly. Sometimes in this Q&A, I can't read what they write. Worse than the doctor's writing. So make sure you write, I can read. And also, of course, the question would be good that you ask about your practice, you ask about the Dhamma and so on. Don't become too technical. Sometimes, Bhante, the Buddha mentioned in Majjhima Nikaya 29.5, then these verses and all that thing. Wow. I mean, if it related to the meditation, maybe I can answer you. So anyway, if you have this question, what you write it there. I'll come and collect after lunch of the first round. Then also I'll come and collect at around 6 o'clock. So at least I got time to go through. Then at night we can give you the questions, the answers. If you have time, also we can do some verbal questions too. If not, if perhaps also we have some time in the Tuesday on the last day, then we can have a few verbal questions also there. So tomorrow you still have one more day. Don't think about going back. Don't start planning on all these things. I know some of you are start planning today already. Put all these thoughts aside. The last day, try to practice as best as you can. Who knows when the next retreat is going to come?